Friends, I'm absolutely ecstatic to have with me today one of the most iconic guitarists in the metal and hard rock genre. We've always known him to be a guitar hero, one of a select few pushing the limits of rock and metal guitar in the late 80s and throughout the 90s. To this day, I strongly believe my guest today and the phenomenal Jason Becker were not only trailblazers, but simply the most jaw-dropping one-two punch in prog metal guitar history. But surprisingly, it wasn't always this way. After taking guitar lessons as a kid from ages 7 to 10, he actually hated the guitar so much he completely quit the instrument for several years before finding a renewed purpose on the electric guitar upon moving back to the U.S. from Germany. But what would make a kid from rural Laurel, Maryland, who lacked ambition for so long, suddenly become so driven to get in a rock band? By his own admission, it was a looming specter of being surrounded by blasting music, screaming fans, and most of all, tons of sex with lots of groupies that lit a fire under his ass. One thing that has always set Marty's playing apart are his unique compositions. He is simply not a shredder, but an exotic melody machine flowing from his brain to his fingers, turning unexpected surprises on the fly into majestic solos. Simply listen to his incredible solos in Cacophony's speed metal symphony and you will instantly know. Today he tours all over the world with his own eponymous band, Marty Friedman, while still looking youthful and amazing like he's in his early 30s. He will be 63 on December 8th. It's my honor and pleasure to please welcome none other than the incredible Marty Friedman. Marty, awesome to have you here, man.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the kind words.
First, I read your autobiography, Dreaming Japanese, and I found it so fascinating, Marty. I couldn't put the book down. It's funny, brutally honest, and entertaining. I also like how the chapters are so well organized, making it easy to read and comprehend. My overall take from the book is that your life has been about recurring reinvention and adaptability. Whether it was due to a major family move or self-sabotage, Marty gets knocked down repeatedly and has to get up and completely start over, followed by a feeling of isolation, processing deep reflection, and then ultimately resolving to a necessary reinvention that propels you to greater heights. Would you agree that that's true?
Yeah, and thank you for the kind words again. And it's interesting that you mentioned the breaking up of the chapters to making it easy to read. And I have to give credit to my co-writer, John Wiederhorn, for that. He basically single-handedly did that because I handed in my manuscript and it needed desperately to be separated in a way that the reader reads it and enjoys reading it. And I have no experience in doing that, and he has lots of experience in doing that. So without changing any of the story or any of my words, really, he arranged that stuff, I guess, to such a good extent that you picked up on it. So I'm going to have to let him know that his work is appreciated. And yeah, I think what you said is definitely true. I've done that many times, even since, my preteen years. You do something and then start again, reinvent, and eventually come up better than you were before. But it's never been easy. Never had like the lucky break where here it is, I've got the lucky break. It's like, okay, now I've got to start from zero again, but what else am I going to do? So you keep going, and eventually, somehow I get very lucky and eclipse what I had done before. But it's never been handed to me. So if that's what you got from the book, I think you got it right.
Yeah, it was very evident, Marty. And then it repeated again when you picked your ass up and moved to Japan in 2003. You felt isolated playing in a big J-pop band. And the paradox of it was that you had this great camaraderie on stage, but then at the after parties, you felt like you were alone. So that was very interesting.
Yeah, it was like that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Weird because it was absolutely my dream to be in that band and playing that music. But the reality is, of course, when I'm on stage, everything is normal, but then you have to like spend the other 22 hours of the day and fill that up with stuff. And yeah, that's all in the book, but it was not easy at the beginning for sure.
Hmm. One of the stories in the book that riveted me, Marty, was when you were 17. You're in this band Deuce in rural Maryland with your buddies having the time of your life, sex, drugs, and rock and roll times 100. And then you tripped on acid for the first time. And at one point, you seriously thought you might die. Having survived that brutal encounter, you made a vow never to do drugs again. And it totally changed your life. So, my question is, Marty, considering that you had to leave your buddies and quit a successful local band, do you ever look back to that terrible experience that led you to that epiphany and say to yourself, damn, as painful as that was, I'm glad it happened. It led me on a new trajectory to success and made me the man I am today.
Yeah, I mean, especially like right afterwards, I started realizing right away that not getting wasted all the time was a very, very good decision. Before then, I was just having lots of fun all the time, and it was fantastic. I loved every minute of it. So there was nothing to alert me into thinking, wow, maybe drugs are not so good because I was just loving it. And I was playing, rocking with my band and having lots of fun. And we had lots of adoring fans and all that great stuff. So I'm thinking there's nothing in life that needs to be changed. But once I stopped doing all of that stuff, I started realizing that I was playing better than the other guys around me suddenly. Suddenly, I was thinking much clearer and I was able to advance on my instrument and advance musically and understand things a lot better and just become better on guitar. And when you're like in your mid-teens and you start feeling yourself improving, it's really kind of wonderful. It's a big deal. Because usually when you're a kid, you think, oh my God, everybody else is so good. Everybody else is playing so good. And part of that for me was like, I was just so high all the time. I just thought I was better than everybody else. But in reality, I wasn't. And then when I stopped getting high, I realized that it was not too difficult to actually become as good as I wanted to be because all the other guys were getting high all the time, so they weren't improving. They weren't getting any better, but suddenly I was, so I could see everything clearly, like literally, months after I stopped doing everything. So I'm like, oh wow, this is the best thing I ever did.
That's great. What a fantastic story. Now, fast forward a few years, Marty. It seems like you really cut your teeth and developed your exotic guitar style while playing more progressive music in odd meters with this drummer Jeff in Hawaii when your parents and you moved there. Then when you were contacted by Mike Varney, who just newly launched Shrapnel Records. Even though gigging wise doesn't seem like there was much going on in Honolulu at the time in the early 80s. You mentioned you sent Varney the Vixen Apartment demo that got you a track on US Metal Volume 2. What else was on that demo besides Deuce Tunes? And explain that tape may have been a catalyst that opened big doors for you later.
Well, it didn't really open any big doors, but it would like definitely opened up the first door, which was tiny, but you got to start somewhere. And what else was on the demo was probably it was like maybe 5 songs and just whatever Vixen was working on at the time, and it was pretty good considering that it was done in an apartment, and back then home recording was definitely not a thing. So there was definitely a lot of guitar work on it and stuff that kind of attracted attention to people who cared about guitar, but it wasn't going to light up the charts anytime soon.
I think you even mentioned that you actually recorded on a cassette tape that you picked up from a drugstore or something.
Oh yeah, everything was done on those 99-cent cassette tapes. Everything.
Now, I went to see you at City Winery in New York City on February 4th earlier this year. In fact, we briefly met in the concession area. What a fun show. I really enjoyed that show. And here's some of my observations. One thing I picked up that I totally loved about the vibe, Marty, is this sense of family and collaborative exchange you foster on stage between you and your band. You always have another great guitar player in the band on stage with you, and you not only unselfishly pass the baton and allow them to shine, you actually turn it into a hilarious comedy act, which I love, especially during the call response solo of Tornado of Souls. You constantly break his balls. It's fucking funny, dude. Tell my listeners, how did that shtick start?
It's one of those things. You never know what people are going to like about any parts of your career. So I would be remiss to not please the fans with that song in some form. So what I've been doing is just take the guitar solo of Tornado of Souls, and of course Naoki can play that thing fantastic, but I have him come up and play it. It's like we start to play the Tornado of Soul solo, and then instead of me playing it, Naoki plays it, and then I stop him and get pissed off for playing my solo, and then we argue on stage for a while, and
Loved it.
it's like you said, it was really funny, but we do that in like every country in the world, and the language barrier or lack of language barrier just makes it a completely different, hilarious experience in every country. The best, well, I can't say best, but I think the funniest has to be in Japan because Naoki doesn't speak English, but I speak Japanese to him, and we argue with like kind of a dialect of he's from like Kobe, which is near Osaka, so we argue in his dialect, and when I speak in his dialect, it just sounds completely ridiculous. And so it kind of adds to the whole craziness of the situation. And we try to tailor that thing to whatever city or country we're in. And it's just a riot. And it kind of allows me to enjoy playing that rather than just, okay, here's the song that you guys care about. I'm just going to play it for you and get it over with. Instead of that, just like to have fun with it and bring the audience into it rather than just having it be a band performance.
What a riot, man. And everyone loved it. They just eat that shit up.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's really great. Now, speaking of Tornado of Souls, I'm glad that we mentioned that. That one solo constantly comes up on online chats above the rest as everyone's all-time favorite, Tornado of Souls. Why do you think that solo in particular gets so much attention and love, more so than the other great solos you've orchestrated?
I kind of have a theory that when things like a guitar solo becomes popular or whatever with mainstream people, guitar fans like guitar aficionados like certain things because of whatever reason, technical brilliance or whatever. But when you talk about something that's popular in the mainstream, there are other things at play that really have nothing to do with guitar abilities or anything like that. So I just kind of think that people like it because it's long, to be honest with you. And that's not to disparage that song or solo or other solos like that Freebird, Stairway to Heaven, whatever, Pink Floyd. I think when something is long, mainstream people get bored of it really quickly. So if you can hold the attention of a mainstream person for a long time, that kind of stands out to them. That's why everybody says, oh, Freebird is the greatest, or that Pink Floyd thing, which is like 10 minutes long or whatever. They've held the attention of mainstream people. If there are solos, think about guys like Alan Holdsworth or like Sean Lane or these guys who just do like inhuman things on guitar that will make guitar aficionados just think it's really, really amazing. But mainstream people aren't able to really appreciate the details of that. But what they are able to appreciate is if they've been sitting listening to a guitar solo for a whole minute and a half and actually enjoying it, that's very rare. So those are the ones that they think are really good. So I was just lucky I was given a long, I don't know how long it is, like 38, 36 measures. It's a long solo. So I was
Yeah.
very happy to be given such a long space.
Yeah. But you demonstrated it with another story in your book. When you entered that guitar competition and you kept advancing to the semifinals, and then you finally get to the final, and you have this schmuck who's playing Southern rock, and just playing like Freebird, Leonard Skinner type of solos, pentatonics, and you're doing this incredible, these exotic Eastern scales, and they're all eating up his shit because, this is what this, I guess, guy-centric crowd was digging and what they know. So the best stuff doesn't always resonate with people. But I have another theory as to why I think Tornado of Souls is your most popular solo. I think subliminally, it's full of surprises. You start with that bend, and then you pull it back, and then you go into these exotic runs, but then you change up the speeds of the solo as well. You're not playing fast all the time. And then toward the end, you have those fast flurries of thirds, and then you move it up. It's very unexpected and very fresh compared to anything I've ever heard. And I think whether people realize it, intuitively, they pick up on that. That's my feeling.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'll buy it. I mean, if you like anything from any period of my career, I'm happy about it. I put the same amount of energy into just about everything. So you just never know what people will relate to. If they enjoy any of it, it's all good.
Yeah, and you're a perfectionist I gather from what I was reading. So that's great.
Sure.
How did woodshedding with Jason Becker, both on the Shrapnel Records and tours, strengthen your blood brother relationship and improve you both as musicians?
Well, I'm not sure we did so much wood shedding. We did a lot of working on stuff, so I guess that counts as wood shedding, but we weren't trying to get better on guitar or anything. We were trying to impress each other and at the same time come up with new things. So maybe you could call that wood shedding, but it was like a very, very friendly competition.
Nice.
And I think competition is very healthy, even when it's not so friendly.
Mm-hmm.
But we are fortunate that we were just, it was a bromance. We really liked being together, even if we weren't playing music. We were arguing about football or listening to music or, everything but guitar, really, most of the time.
Yeah. You even made a comment early on that, he could be my gay lover if I was gay. And, we would get along really fine.
I put a whole little section about that in my original manuscript, and the co-writer said, you shouldn't put that in there, man, because everybody's got their panties in a wad about that stuff in America right now. You should cut that out. And I'm like, that's hilarious, dude. Jason would love it. And no, don't. Somebody's gonna complain. I'm like, oh, really? So it's probably best, to cut that out, I guess. But yeah, we were just really, really good and still are. I mean, I'm in an email chain with them right now as we speak, actually.
That's fantastic.
It was just a good, we loved each other and still do. It's like a family. And so I think joking around about stuff is also a big thing that we had back then and still now.
Yeah, I can just feel that camaraderie because when you did that tour in the U.S. with Cacophony, and then you guys are having extracurricular activity after the concerts, getting laid, etc., and then you actually met a Latino in one of the southwestern states, and he really ribbed you on that.
Ha ha ha.
That was funny.
Yeah, I'm glad you like that stuff. I put all that kind of lowbrow humor in there because, people like to think that possibly if I'm like a musician or someone they admire that I'm somehow like a really classy guy and I'm just like the same as everybody else and just as crude as the next guy. And I like to disarm people in that way. We're all the same and we all think about the same things and we all kid each other about the same things. So I put a lot of that stuff in the book and I hope I didn't let anybody down.
You didn't let me down. If it were up to me, I would have wanted you to put the gay reference in the book.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. But when you were working with Jason, you were both advanced players, so it was more compositional at that point, spending 17 or 18 hours a day on fine-tuning, getting the harmony lines together, etc.
Right.
It's funny. I love this line. You said this when you first visited Jason's family. The problem with paying your dues is it never ends, even when you achieve your ultimate goals. Marty, do you sometimes still feel that you're paying your dues right now?
Every single day.
Wow.
And that can be in all caps. Um, it just never really ends. I'm not complaining about it, but I think it's interesting that you picked up on that because it's an important thing. Because myself included, and most people in their teens think once you've made it and you've made a record, you're done. You're set on a trajectory that's just all rocking the whole time. But to maintain things and to continue to do new things and to continue to create new, exciting, influential things. It's constantly paying your dues and giving up things that would be possibly more fun. It never changes. It's constant. So yeah, um, never ever ends. Always paying dues. Always being disappointed, disappointed, but not always like with everything, but like every time something great happens, it only happens because you've been disappointed before it. You know what I mean? If
Mhm.
all things good happened all the time, you wouldn't have anything to compare it to. So a lot of hardships that go into every good thing that happens, and it's always worth it. But you just can't be surprised that every single thing that comes your way is not always good. It's like bad things pave the way for good things. And it's true, it's a very manly thing to be able to overcome those things. And I've been very lucky with that, and I haven't had too many streaks of bad luck or anything, but nothing has come terribly easy.
That's such a great lesson. You don't want it to come easy. You want to fail faster because the failure is what makes the success sweeter. And you've
Well, this is
demonstrated that
true, of
time and
course.
time
Yeah.
again. You get knocked down and you get back up. You're in LA, you're living on lollipops and rice, living in
Yeah.
in these two chicks apartment that you just met and you have to find a way to break into the scene. It happened earlier when your family moved to Germany and then you came back and you didn't have the same friends anymore. It happened again when
Yeah.
you moved
Yeah.
to Japan. This is like a recurring thing and it's such a great lesson to any of my listeners who hear this. Never give up. Just keep on getting up. No matter how bad it is, it's never as bad as you think it is when you're in the moment. Such a great,
Yeah.
great lesson, Marty. Yeah. Tell us how you come up with great melodies for your solos. What's your secret? Do you work out those solos beforehand? Do you mainly improvise them, or is it a combination of both?
There's no real secret or anything, no tricks or anything. I'm just very melody oriented person and constantly if there's one thing good I can say about my playing is I can always come up with melodies. And usually a melody can fix many situations or at least help a situation out. You know, I think in terms of melodies, and whenever I'm playing anything, I think what melody could help this situation? What melody could take the piece of music from point A to point B? I'm always looking at the big picture, never just thinking about the solo section, always thinking about what came before and what comes after and what's going to come later. And yeah, so I think just thinking in terms of melody, if you've played any instrument for any period of time, you've amassed some sort of skill set that allows you to play most things that you can think about. So instead of thinking about techniques and tricks and fancy things, melodies just come out. I always think of melodies, and if I want to make it fancy, I'll do that. But usually a melody will make anything a little bit more easy to listen to.
Yeah. What do you think of the younger generation of shredders today, the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha? Like dudes like Ichiganito, Marcin, Tim Henson, and Max Ostro. Do you think they're missing something despite their technical proficiency?
Absolutely not. I'm friends with all these guys and have worked with all of them, and I'm here to tell you that they're all fantastic.
I interviewed Max,
Uh,
actually. He's great.
yeah, he's a player. I haven't actually played with him, but we've exchanged a couple correspondence. But I've done the most work with Ichka, and he
Hmm.
and I are about to put something out together.
Wow.
in the next couple of days. He is the real deal, man. He's just not a massive technique. He's very musical,
Oh yeah.
and his musical sensitivity and sense is just fantastic. It is Marson. Marson is just mind-blowing, and Tim
Wow.
Henson, just really great. Um, I'm very happy that these guys came up because it revives interest in guitar in the first place. You know,
Hmm.
I never really thought guitar was an instrument that could hold people's interest that long, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to fade away, but thanks to these guys making it fun and exciting, I think it's really good. You know, it's very inspiring. I think we're in good hands, and I'm very happy to work with these guys because we both always come up with unique things together. They do things that I would have never thought of, and I do things that they would have never thought of. I just did a thing with a guy named what's his name? Jack.
Jack
Jack
Gardner.
Gardner. Jack
Yeah,
Gardner.
he's amazing.
He's absolutely fantastic player. And when you hear this thing that we came up with, you're going to hear some things that he does that I would have never thought of, and vice versa. And I think that's what's really exciting. I just love not only picking brains of these guys, but like kind of adding to the soup, you know what I mean? And I always come out of it learning something, and they always seem to like pick up something from me. I'm a very strange player. I don't think
I
it
won't
really
mention
comes.
this.
Yeah, I think it really comes across in my music because there's not a whole lot of long jams in my music. Everything is pretty much composed. But if you sit down and play with somebody for 20 minutes at a time, you're going to hear a lot of unique things that most people don't get to hear. So I think you got guys like Jack Gardner and the guys that you talked about before, and another good friend of mine, Alex Hutchins.
Yeah.
These guys are completely bringing interest into guitar that wasn't there, and really cool YouTuber guitar players like my friend Bradley Hall. It just brings whole new interest to the guitar, and really just a fantastic turn of events that I'm glad to see happen. And hopefully it will spawn more people doing more influential things. And I'm happy to be a part of it any way that it works out.
It's the evolution of guitar. These guys are so creative. I mean, I just think of
It's,
Matteo Mancuso. He's just incredible.
yeah, him too. And he's really, really special.
Yeah.
And all of these guys bring new things, and I support every single one of them and have stolen things from all of them and will continue to do so. So, yeah, I support all these dudes, and I hope
Yeah.
there's
Awesome.
more coming up. And Matteo
Yeah.
Sasato, Jesus Christ, he's just
He's
amazing.
all over the place. He's been like the internet star for the last 7 years.
Rightly so.
Yeah. Two last quick questions. Did you ever get a chance to play with Sean Lane?
No, and to be honest with you, I didn't know much about him until very recently. I just thought he was this super fast guy. So fast guys just don't impress me at all, so I
Yeah.
never really thought
Yeah.
about it. But
Right.
then someone played me something of his that kind of was really impressive, and I'm like, wow, this guy really was super, super talented. But when I first heard him back in, I guess it was the 2000s, I just thought, oh, another fast guy. So I didn't really get the scope of how talented he was, but
Yeah.
incredibly talented, as I found out later.
Wow. What upcoming tours and recording projects do you have with your band on the horizon coming up in 2026, Marty?
A lot of touring in 2026, a lot of touring at the end of this year here in Japan and elsewhere, but all of this stuff will be announced very soon officially. There's a lot going on. Japan is already filling up, and I'm still on the drama tour, so we're doing one territory at a time and
Yeah.
taking our time with it because there's so much in Japan that I need to do, and so the drama tour is a good 2 year event, and hopefully get to wherever your readers or listeners are at, and we'll be there. Lots going on, and we'll all be announced soon.
Wonderful. Where can my viewers and listeners go to find the latest tour dates and information about Marty Friedman?
All of my social media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my website will have anything that you need. But social media you'll hear about it wherever you're at.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we hit it and quit it, Marty?
No, thank you for your kind words and for doing your homework. Very nice. And I appreciate it very much. I hope to see you out there soon.
I greatly appreciate this interview, Marty. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
My pleasure.
Take care. Talk to you
Take
soon.
care, Marty.